Hello everyone. Today's live pay we will be discussing about the UPSC Mains paper 2 and more specifically we will be discussing the polity section. Okay. Now each and every time in between when I keep asking you, I want you guys to respond back to me. Okay. Just so that we'll make it a little bit interactive. Okay. Rather than me just showering you with facts. Okay. The first question. Examine the need for electoral reforms as suggested by various committees with particular reference to one nation, one election principle. Okay. See, now first let's break down the question. Look at this. Two objectives. Need for electoral reforms. Okay. First section is we will be looking for need for electoral reforms. Okay. And they themselves have asked a sub question in that. See, time and again I've noticed one thing with respect to mains paper, at least that's what people assume. You just write down whatever you feel, electoral reforms means this is needed, that is needed, model code of conduct, that this. Okay, they just don't want you to give out what your personal opinions are. Okay, they want you to state the facts based on a weightage, that is, let's say, as they have clearly stated here, various committees. Okay, so in this question, one thing you have to keep in mind is, yes, you have to mention what is the need for electoral reforms, first thing. Second thing, they are specifically asking you for various committees, meaning you have to mention some committees which speak about electoral reforms. Understanding? And the third part, okay, now this will consider both of this as one part. This first part, this is subsection, and the third part is to deal with one nation, one election principle. Okay, so here they've asked, look at this, this is also one of the electoral reform. This is also suggested by one committee. Should we or should we not do this? Why should we do this? If so, why should we not do this? Understanding? Clear, no? Online class, you're understanding it, right? Because first of all, because we'll not just make it, one-sided, we'll make it as interactive as possible. This concept of one nation, one election, okay, this largely came into picture because of your Ramnath Kovind committee, okay, which was talking about the elephant in the room to be addressed, that is your one nation, one election. Understanding? Online class, understanding? Okay, a Ramnath Kovind committee was the one, okay, it was set up to discuss about this concept of one nation, one election. Okay, from this we will build the answer in reverse. Okay, that is, first we will discuss this one nation, one election, and then why all these reforms are needed for the elections. Okay, one nation, one election. Why? First thing. Okay, now before we enter into all this, your introduction, okay, for this question could be about the need for electoral reforms as they themselves state. Okay, either two-way, let's go with two-way. Either you can write a small introduction as to what electoral reforms is, that is the changes needed in election processes. Okay, or you could start it with telling the concept of one nation, one election was in recent news. Okay, you could even go it this way. Recent news was because one of the things being your Ramnath Kovind committee being set up explicitly to discuss on this particular issue. Okay, one nation, one election. Why? See, one thing is we are a federal country. Okay, मतलब we have central and state. Okay, we have center and state. Center के लिए elections, state के लिए elections. Okay, As soon as general elections get over, one or the other states elections keeps on happening. Okay, so this is like we are always in a continuous loop of election processes. Understanding? Even let's say now this was one of the comments that was hurled. By comments, it's not necessarily a positive or a negative comment, but that the nation, the India, especially a developing country, is constantly in elections. Okay, and the head of state belonging to a particular party. Okay, now obviously they all also have to contest election. They have to make sure their party elections, everything is there. Yeah, but if they always keep on campaigning, if the head of state is always only busy in campaigning, then where does he have time to run the country? Yeah, and this also puts unnecessary toll, yes, on the national reserves, and also your bureaucracy is burdened. Okay, and your MCC, model code of conduct, each time an election is to take place, okay, MCC will be imposed, which means time around the time, okay, that is year around the loop we have MCC put into place. Okay, so this makes it difficult for even bureaucracy, this makes it difficult for your administrator, this makes it difficult on the overall. Okay, so this is one of the difficulties that we are facing. So as a result to this, okay, as a result to this, there was a debate. Time and again we keep on spending money. See, elections are a very costly process. Okay, it is not easy. So this elections which are a costly process and also extremely time consuming. A, it's costly. B, it's time consuming. Okay, because of this, the proposal, that is to beat out these things, a proposal that came was your one nation, one election. Okay, see, any model, take it for example democracy. Okay, it is said that democracy is not one of the best models, but rather it is the least of the worst models. That is, it is least worst. Why am I mentioning this is any model or any technique or any particular thing you take as a solution for something, it will have its associated disadvantages. Same as with respect to your one nation, one election. Yes, when we conduct one election for the Pura country, yes, it might be less costly, it might be less time consuming, but also one of the contrary debates that is faced is, yes, we are a federal country, this might undermine states having a disadvantage over a ruling party in the center, or this might create, okay, a difficulty in the few of the states also complain that this might be in a way that center will have undue advantage, or the major ruling party will have an undue advantage. Okay, so you have to listen to both sides of the coin, right? So this is also one of the issues. Okay, now let's come back to the electoral reforms, need for electoral reforms, and that is suggested by your various committees. Okay, right on up until here. Okay, now they've specifically stated various committees, right? For that purpose, you have to make sure your answer has some committees at least. For example, first let's take Vohra committee, okay, which specifically speaks about, see, now when we take a committee, it's not that they will address only one thing, but one of the main things which will be suited for your answer is what you're supposed to take. Okay, one such thing is a Vohra committee which spoke about, okay, reducing the concept of money and muscle power in politics. Okay, next, okay, your law commission has also made huge number of, okay, suggestions with respect to the need for electoral reforms. Again, see one more thing, this is a 10-mark question and 150 words. Okay, that's why we're not going on a very detailed mode. Understanding? Clear up until here? We'll move ahead. Okay. The next committee we'll speak about is your Dinesh Goswami committee. Okay, in which this committee recommends, okay, the possibility of usage of state funding for elections. Okay, state funding for elections should be considered. Understanding? So mandatorily our answer has to have few committees. Okay, why? Because the question states it. Okay, so all these three things should be addressed. Understanding? This is a 10-mark question. Alright, fine, we'll move ahead. Next. The next question is about Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunals. See, the polity paper, the way they've asked, okay, it is a clear mix of both the topics that were static as well as current affair related. Okay, we'll keep discussing how and okay when. Write down the question, explain and distinguish between Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunals, whether they entertain civil as well as criminal cases. This is a 10-mark question. Okay, write down the question. Done? Okay. Again, 10-mark question, 150 words. Okay, we do not have enough time to keep talking what are the composition of Lok Adalat, what is the contribution of arbitration tribunals. Okay, unnecessary details let's not try to fill in. They have clearly asked this question as explain and distinguish. Mainly distinguish between Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunals. Okay, they are following it up with a sub question. Do they, that means does Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunal entertain civil as well as criminal cases? Okay, which means you have to address this part of the question. See, when marks are allocated to the question, it is allocated based on the types, that is subtypes asked for the question as well. If you just answer the first part and omit the second part, despite however good the first part you've written, okay, the second part, whatever marks was allotted for it, you don't get because you have not addressed the question. Yes? So, Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunals. First, let's take Lok Adalat. Okay? Your Lok Adalat is more of an informal organization or informal in nature compared to your arbitration tribunals. Understood? Clear up until here? Your Lok Adalat was formed based on your Legal Services Act of 1987. Clear up until here, no? Okay. One speciality about Lok Adalat and the reason we used informal, okay, is because this Lok Adalat concept is largely based on compromise or mutual agreement. Okay, that is why we are telling this is informal. In no other sense, the one main thing is because both the parties, if they come to a compromise, or both the parties, if they come to a mutual agreement, then we say, this case can be either shed, or is a mutual compensation could be achieved, or whatever terms that both of them are agreeing, based on that we can take a decision. Okay, and this particular judgment, okay, or award is binding on both the parties, but only if it is agreed by both the parties. Okay, it is the award or the decision, okay, or the judgment is binding on both the parties. That is why the name mutual agreement. Okay, it is binding on both the parties if it is agreed by both the parties. Understanding? And no appeal is available against this judgment. Okay, this is about a Lok Adalat. Now, save the best for the last part of the question. Does it entertain civil as well as criminal cases? Now, what you can do is, you can either mention it here and then again speak about arbitration tribunals, and at the end mention about the fact that whether they deal with civil or criminal cases, or you can stop it up until here, then start with arbitration tribunals, okay, finish with arbitration tribunals, and then separate section by deal with the cases they entertain, and then speak about how Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunals are dealing with these two. Understanding? But here I will speak it on different terms. Clear up until here, no? Any doubts so far? Okay. Your Lok Adalat deals with civil plus criminal cases. Okay? It deals with both civil plus criminal cases. Okay? But the criminal cases that it deals with is of compoundable nature. Okay, criminal cases which are of compoundable nature. What do you think that means? Which means anything that has fall under compoundable nature means crimes which can be, okay, if mutually two parties are agreeing, okay, then they can drop the charges because they are minor or petty. Understanding? Okay, compoundable cases means they are if both parties agree, okay, or come to a compromise. That's what Lok Adalat is about, right? This is such minor case that they can drop the case. Okay, they can drop the case and they can come to a amicable settlement. Understood? Clear up until here? Now, let's move on to arbitration tribunals. Okay, clear up until here? Read on up until here? Okay, this was formed based on your Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1967. Okay, compared to your Lok Adalat, this is more of your formal nature. When we say this is of more informal nature, this is of more formal nature. Okay, in here, okay, in here, the award is binding. The award is binding, but in certain cases, appeal is possible or they can challenge it. Understanding? Now, more than appeal, it is challengeable in a higher court. Understanding? Now, again, what is it with respect to civil and criminal cases with respect to arbitration tribunals? Because that is the main thing they've asked. Your arbitration tribunals deal with civil cases only. Okay, they deal with civil cases only. Understanding? whereas your Lok Adalat deals with both civil as well as criminal cases, but the criminal cases are more of your compoundable nature, meaning crimes which are petty, so that the amicable settlement pay, the charges can be dropped. Clear? Understood? No issues? We'll move ahead. The growth of cabinet system has practically resulted in the marginalization of the parliamentary supremacy. Elucidate. This is answer in 150 words. Okay, meaning it is a 10-mark question. Alright, now look at this. The growth of cabinet system, okay, resulted in the marginalization of parliamentary supremacy. Okay, what do you think? Okay, online class, I'm asking, what do you think they mean by the growth of cabinet system? Comment down in the comment section. Okay. Come on, I'm waiting. What do you think is cabinet system? Okay. Now, let me assume you're going to mention the answer. See, in the recent years, okay, in the recent years, now this is one question that is based on a simple observation. Okay, in the recent years, the trends has increased such that the executive or your government has come up in majority. Okay, it is in a full bloom majority stage compared to the coalition phases that we had. Okay, now when the executive was in majority, what it started doing was it started exerting its dominance. Okay, look at this. The executive recent years pay is growing in majority, so much so that the executive is starting to assert a dominance in the parliament. Okay, but actually what is the parliamentary system? Or we'll go back to the root question as to why do you think India picked parliamentary model of democracy rather than presidential form of democracy? Simple answer: accountability over stability. The reason we picked parliamentary system over presidential system was this simple: accountability over stability. Accountability on whom? Accountability of the executives to the parliament, meaning this parliament was to be a zone of power where parliamentarians or okay, your parliament or legislature will control or hold the executives accountable. Understanding? But in recent years, the trend has become that because of the majority enjoyed by the executive, they are trying to bypass or undermine or do things that they want, okay, bypassing the parliament or making sure that irrespective of the parliamentary control, they are trying to reign over. How? First thing is through the usages of ordinances according to Article 123. What is an ordinance? Ordinance is one of the way where a law is passed bypassing the parliament. Who is the law making body? Parliament. But executive can pass an ordinance, okay, which will bypass this procedure. Okay, that we are seeing on a race. Understanding? Clear up until here? Second one, because we are on this concept of law, I will speak on this. See, when any law is to be brought out or when they are thinking, we'll introduce a law. That is, the executive is thinking. That is what the question is also, right? The growth of cabinet system practically resulted in the marginalization of parliamentary supremacy. So what happened is, the procedure is this. Whenever, before you think that I'm going to release a particular law, or I'm thinking about introducing a particular, okay, a law, I mean bill, before it becomes a law, it has to be introduced as a bill stage, right? Before I'm going to introduce a bill, what was common was, you ask a public opinion, okay? You ask stakeholder opinion, which means the targeted audience people, okay? Then you get good scrutiny by committees. Meaning, you first want to two stage, both two stages are there, okay? Pre introduction of bill, and this is post introduction. Before you introduce a bill, you have to take public opinion, or the stakeholder or the targeted audience of that particular bill ka opinion, okay? But in recent years, we see this is also missing or lacking. Rather than missing, lacking, okay? Is another word you can use. Next, when a bill is introduced in the parliament, the amount of bills, now you all know there is something called as standing committees. Yes. The first stage we discussed was pre-introductory bill stage. Now post-introductory, after the bill is introduced in the parliament, usually, okay, if the bill is referred to a standing committee, then it means that particular bill will be seen in various way, okay? Multiple ways pay, that will be, it is almost like putting a timestamp. Yes, will this policy or will this bill, when introduced and made into a law, will it time test? Meaning, will it stand, will it make sure it is going to, okay, be time tested? Meaning, despite the challenges, it has to grow, it has to reach the targeted audience. Will it do that justice? Okay, that role is properly done by a standing committees. But again, same thing, growth of cabinet system, meaning the majority of executives, so much so that the bill being referred to standing committees itself has been reduced. Understanding? This is one of the ways how your executive is trying to overpower your parliament. Understanding? Then next, again, because now we've brought in the parliament and we are talking about committee, one very important committee is your business advisory committee. Okay, your business advisory committee, which is headed by the speaker of the house, and then it is largely, okay, dominated by the ruling party or the majority executive, or here the growth of the cabinet system, which will decide which bills to consider, how much times to okay, how much time to be allocated, okay? They are having a major share in the parliamentary work. Now, if the parliamentary work is all going to be happening and the scheduling of that lies in the executive, then the executive will try to see and ways in which it wants. Yes. So this is another way where your executive is trying to overpower your parliament. Another way, if you see, because we used about your parliamentarian and all, this is your whip. Okay. Yes. Parliamentarians. Okay. Parliamentarians are there, but the parliamentarians are guided, okay, or are held by the whip. Okay, that is the party commands. If they don't follow that, what it leads to? This is also there, not just in this one case, but this is also there, no? Anti-defection. Yes. See, a couple years back in a UPSC Mains question only, there was a question which was similar to on the lines of this, where with the growing years, the role of an individual parliamentarian has come to reduce. Okay, I'm not sure which year of was it, but if you guys come to know, point out the question and which year it was. But the question was about The role of an individual parliamentarian has reduced. Okay, somewhere on the same lines of this topic, not this question, but of this particular topic that we're talking about. Understanding? Clear up until here? Any doubts? Online class, any doubts? Anything you didn't understand? Clear up until here? Fine? We'll move ahead. Okay. Next question. 150 words, meaning 10 marks. The duty of the Comptroller and Auditor General is not merely to ensure the legality of expenditure, but also its propriety. Okay, this is a very, very important question coming from both current affair as well as static portion. Clear? The base of it, okay, we will go to one main judgment that we will speak about. That is your Arvind Gupta judgment. First, let me explain how these things are. This is somewhere a shortened version. Okay, this question is almost a shortened version which arose from this particular case. See, what happened was a writ petition was filed. The Supreme Court telling the role of CAG, that is your Comptroller and Auditor General, was, okay, the writ petition stated somewhere on the first lines was just to ensure the legality, meaning let's assume government, okay, the government was going to spend money, the government will spend money, and this money, let's take for an example Ayushman Bharat. Okay, Ayushman Bharat it is going to spend money. After it spend money, CAG will just see, the money that government spent, is it only on Ayushman Bharat, is it properly spent? That's it. This was the legality. But your CAG reported one other thing. Okay, what was that one other thing your CAG reported is, what we have seen is that government is spending Ayushman Bharat scheme ke liye ye money, fine. But we have also seen cases where people who are already dead, okay, on their name it is told that the money, the medicines are spent, medical bills are put on their name, okay, some sort of, okay, misappropriation is happening. Okay, meaning, look at this, legality means just to see the first thing, government spending, okay fine, it's spending on this particular scheme, fine, but it went a step ahead and it is telling the amount that is spent is not on the living people but on the dead person, not all of it, but we have recognized cases of this. So this was doing a proactive role, that is according to the writ petition. It said CAG cannot do that. CAG cannot do this portion, propriety, which means it cannot see whether the money that is spent, is it going to the proper source. Okay, one of the things, for example, your Aadhaar numbers or your JAM, Holy Trinity is there, no? What is it? Jandan, Aadhaar, mobile linkage and all three they found mistakes. For example, the Aadhaar numbers were wrong, or your mobile numbers were not even in use and they were gaining. Okay, so it found these loopholes and it said the money is going in this way, that is the money which is spent by government is not going to the right source. Okay, the way the money is spent also the CAG took a note and reported this. Okay, case pe, this Arvind Gupta case pe, they said no, CAG cannot do that. That is when your Supreme Court held that, okay, according to the 1971 Act, okay, CAG, okay, is to do both of these, okay, ensure both legality as well as propriety, where the money is spent and how the money is spent. CAG is authorized to do both, okay. So based on that, they dismissed the writ petition. This was the judgment of your Arvind Gupta case. Understanding? Clear up until here? We'll move on to the next question. What is that? What are the aims and objects of recently passed and enforced the Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Act 2024, whether university or state education board examination 2 are covered under the act? Answer in 250 words, meaning it's a 15 marks question. Understanding? Read on the question. Okay. See, understand one thing. They are asking the aims, objectives, okay, of this particular act, and then they themselves are asking a further question: does it apply to universities or state education board examination too? Understanding? So we have to answer both these. First and foremost, the Public Examination or Prevention of Unfair Means Act of 2024. Okay, what are its aims and objectives? First thing, no student or no person is allowed to get unauthorized. Okay, unauthorized here means that, okay, you are not supposed to receive any questions, okay, of the examination, okay, either beforehand or just before the exam. No, in no way are you supposed to receive the questions in unauthorized manner, meaning you sit in the exam, you get the question paper, fine, but apart from that you do anything else, then that is unauthorized, okay. And under no circumstances are you to receive answers, neither questions nor answers of the exam are you supposed to receive, okay. Third, no person, okay, this includes anyone and everyone, okay, which is no one should help the candidate or student during the exam. That is, you should not tamper with the exam and you should not help the candidate or student in any manner with respect to the exam, okay. Next, some exams happens in your digital mode, that is with respect to your computer, okay. This question is coming to even that mode. It is addressing even your digital mode, where it is telling the network providers, okay. It is providing it is giving a, okay, a point to the network providers that even they cannot tamper, let's say purposefully, okay, or with full conscience they will tamper with the network, meaning somewhere they will slow the network, okay, purposefully they'll make sure that particular systems are malfunctioning in any way. That is a misconduct, that is a crime allegation, or that is an organized crime. You're doing it with your full conscious. Yes, any of these things are not permissible, okay, which means these are prohibited. Understanding? And one more thing is, does this apply to university or state education board? Here, according to this act, the Public Examination Act, okay, apart from whatever, okay, was contained in the bill, by the term public examination, it means your UPSC or your SSC, your IBPS exams, railway exams, national testing agency, or basically something that has to do with center, okay, something that has to do with only center organizations or center conducted examinations and not applicable to universities or state conducted exams. Okay, this is not covered under the act is the second part of this sub question. But if you look at it, largely all the sorts, okay, of the misdemeanor or whatever things that we discussed that shouldn't happen, all happens majoritarily is in this exams. And this act does not include this. That is, your state or universities are not included under this act. Understanding? Clear up until here, no? Any doubts? Online class? Any doubts? Clear? Shall we move ahead? Alright? Okay. Now, the next question, again 250 words, meaning 15-mark question. A right to privacy is intrinsic to life and personal liberty and is inherently protected under Article 21 of the Constitution. Okay. Explain this in reference to law relating to DNA testing of the child in the womb to establish its paternity. It's a two-part question. Okay. The first part, a right to privacy. Okay, a right to privacy and Article 21. If we have to speak the word right to privacy in Article 21, then we cannot do so without discussing a justice or judiciary case, that is retired judge of your Puttaswamy case. Okay, retired justice Puttaswamy case. It was a retired justice who filed when Aadhaar was introduced that it violated the concept of a right to privacy. Okay, understand this. With respect to right to privacy, okay, our Supreme Court, and especially in the Puttaswamy case, it was an iconic judgment of your 9-judge bench, which held that a right to privacy is an intrinsic, which means integral part of your Article 21, which is right to life. Okay, they could tell that right to privacy is an integral part of your right to life. Okay, based on the fact that any of, okay, your privacy has to deal with your dignity, your affairs, etc. Dignity of an individual. This is a term. This is a term. One second. Okay, this is the term. Your privacy and associated dignity of an individual is extremely important for you to have a right to life. Okay, this dignity of an individual is a term that is taken from your preamble. Okay, to broader sense tell that dignity of an individual is very important, meaning his right to privacy is too very important. For a broader sense of examining the Article 21 or right to life, they had to bring this concept. Okay, in your Puttaswamy case, it was discovered that right to privacy is a very important. Okay, the verdict stated that right to privacy is important because that is the dignity of an individual and that is the key to your Article 21. You have to very much mention this case. Okay, coming to the second part, DNA testing of the child in the womb to establish its paternity. Okay, now This was also based on your current affairs. Okay, now the case was specifically something of your Baban Prasad case. Okay, according to which stated you can conduct DNA testing. It is a powerful tool, meaning Supreme Court allows for DNA testing of child in the womb. Okay, that is very accurate, that is very okay, much allowed by the Indian judiciaries. But this DNA testing cannot be conducted without the consent. Okay, first thing is you cannot conduct it without the consent of the person, that is the person who's carrying the child, or okay, against that person. Even if that person, first thing without their consent, which means even without telling, you cannot drag them and do it, and second thing, you can't do it against. If they choose to tell that no, I don't want to do it, then you cannot conduct this. Okay, and second thing, okay, when it comes to DNA testing of the child in the womb, this condition is applicable only again, when I'm saying applicable, the Supreme Courts have pointed out that if there is any other way to establish this without having to do the DNA test, then use that as a proof. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that only if this is done, then only we will use it. Second thing, let's say a case of property is under discussion. My clan, my child, my inheritance only should get this. In that case, fine, agreeable. The other case, when you are thinking, whether my spouse is cheating on me, okay, for you to clarify that doubt, you will not subject your child or the spouse, okay, meaning two individuals with their right to privacy cannot be violated for you to get a proof that that person was not cheating. Understanding? DNA testing is allowed, but it is allowed under the concept of, okay, the need. Okay, on what need are you trying to do that? Understanding? Just haphazardly you can't tell, I want to find out whether this person has been loyal to me, whether this person has been cheating on me. No, on those cases, this is not to be used. Understanding? Okay, we'll end it at this. Okay, at this question. From the next question, we'll continue in the next session. Okay.